Right, it's going to be another episode. In fact, the last of this year of the Best Damn League Show period, because obviously LEC is over, and that's not some sort of hyperbolic statement about the state of European region right now and the news currently coming out. That's actually a literal fact that the league is done for the year, and obviously now we're going to Worlds. Then we're next year. Who knows how LEC is going to be? So we've brought back the man himself, because here's the thing, there was two ways it was going to go. He was either going to be doing some sort of glorious interview about the fact that he qualified to Worlds and G2 didn't, which would have been amazing. Like, listen, I want to live in that alternate reality. I want to go back in time and Doctor Strange and get to that world because it felt so real. And I'll just say it to fans out there, can you guys please click those fucking documents that Romain puts out? Because it will actually make you not a moron. Like, I'll give you a random example. If you actually checked the document that Romain put out of the scrim results over the last month before the finals, you would find that Fnatic was putting belt to ass to G2 constantly. But in your mind, if they'd have ever said they could have won, they'd be a moron, wouldn't they? What a cretin they'd be to win all the time in scrims and then think they could check notes, win a game against G2. Crazy idea. So anyway, point is, it was plausible, but instead, it's all good. You get the worst consolation prize of all, which is you just get to come on this show and talk with us about the LEC. Which, listen, I'd much rather go to Worlds and I'd rather have G2 for go, but it's all good. You're here now, Guilhoto. We enjoy your insights. How was the season overall, do you think?
Was okay, I think. Obviously, I don't think we achieved our goal. Our goal was for sure making it to Worlds, but if you look at the start, the fact that we managed to achieve top 5 in all for our org is a good stepping stone for us to give the jump next time. I always think that you need to build consistency on the degree that you go up, and before it was something that Giants was always fighting to make it to playoffs, and this year we consolidated that we are a playoffs team and we are fighting to make the top spots. So next is just go the next step and make sure that we get those top spots.
And I'll throw it out there. Listen, I wouldn't just say this because someone's here. In fact, I'm probably famous for insulting guests that come on the show. But I would say, one, if people just look at the roster you have, that isn't like an all-star super team, mate. Like, I don't think actually compared to some of the other rosters, most people, that's why I think it was so bold to make that statement earlier in the year. And then secondly, I actually think if people look at the end of the year and judge the end of the journey, actually, even with players that other people might not rate, you were in position in a whole bunch of these games to actually win the games. Like, that was what was amazing. Yeah, it's hard to close out. That's maybe what the best teams do. But there was many times where it looked possible to even get an upset. In fact, I'll remind everyone what everyone's memory hold. I had so many people, famous people on shows, maybe some of them are on this show. I had people in the whole industry. They all thought that JX was going to upset Fnatic in this playoffs. I'll tell you that right now. It's only now that they all changed. No, of course not. They really thought that was going to happen, mate. People thought that was going to happen.
I think we're mentally not prepared. It hurt us a lot of things. I think that I didn't react the best after the game 1 against Fnatic. Our performance coach was also with the VCT team instead of being with us on the studio. Well, a lot of things. It makes. To be fair, if there's only one available, to me it makes sense that he's on a Worlds.
If people don't know, they're a better team. Yes, essentially they're a Worlds team. If people know the equivalent of Valorant, like that team could actually be doing the equivalent of go top 4. So you have to put the results. I get it, sure.
Yeah, so he was at Worlds, so it's not something that I hold against the organization or not. Even though it was the feedback that I gave, right? That we need to have someone there. But overall, I think that we lacked a lot of the mental aspects, and to me that part comes a lot with the belief. So I think that series, even though it was a 3-0, like the game 1 dictated so much. Like the backstage after that game was as bad, if not worse, than the Danny situation in TL.
Holy shit, okay.
So it's and I think that like I have to be able to do better, because the second time that happens and I wasn't. But I still believe that if that game 1 doesn't happen, then we might have a chance. Doesn't mean that we would win, but I think we would make the series a bit closer.
Yeah, from the outside, obviously I'm supporting you guys over Fnatic because I'm never going to support Fnatic for various reasons. But I was so sad that the game 1 was lost in the way that it was. Do you feel that if you just got, if it was a worse loss, or you'd been hard stumped, it would have been better than what happened?
I think so. I think so. Because the thing is that it's like for example, Noah, right? He was the one that was the most upset, I think, because basically what happened was that Noah was saying, do you want me to go do Drake alone? And we just hold position, which I think Isma and the rest said, yeah, we do that. We hold and you do Drake. And legit 5 seconds after, Lot just engages. Because I think it just sees Zaya and is like, look, Zaya, I'm going on Zaya. And Noah is like, but guys, I'm doing Drake. It's like, well, we are fighting. And then Isma follows and goes in. In the middle of all of that, Jackie says, okay, I guess I'm ulting their base. And it's like, that's where I think the part of experience comes in. But after that, I think Noah, which is someone that hits him, when it hits him hard. I think that after that, like the game stuck in his head the whole time. And I mean, and me too, to be fair. I couldn't prepare game 2 well enough. So yeah, I mean, it's more than an excuse, is a learning that we take. You know, it's like not the reason, but it's just something that if it happens again, I'm sure that we'll know how to deal with it better.
Right, let's do it. Let's get into the show then. So obviously, we will start with you, Guilhoto. What is good? By the way, for this episode, I did say it can be specifically about the playoffs. It can just be about LEC over the year and where the state is generally. So where are we going? What's good at the moment in LEC?
So to me, the good thing is that 3 different teams won 3 different splits. Even though the top 4 was kind of similar, I remember when it was like such a different vibe when Mad Lions or Rogue won the LEC instead of G2. And I don't know why Fnatic keeps being mentioned, because they don't win an LEC since like 2019. But it was basically like G2 and then some people get in there. But I think that more than 3 teams winning, I think 3 teams, and I think Fnatic in at least in summer, to be fair, had chances of winning the split. And I think that just makes to a much more interesting league. G2 still won the split. G2 was still on top consistently, even when I think they were not playing good in winter and a bit of spring. But I think it just makes it was just a really good point of the league that especially the orgs with the biggest fan bases were able to win the league.
Sure. What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. For fans who are newer fans of the LEC, it's often hard to remember how unbalanced things were in the past. Just obviously there was the one year where Fnatic had like everyone going on all cylinders in 2018, right? But it just, there was a huge formality that G2 were just going to win, like every single split. And if you had like you'd have individual teams like Spike for one split, but the Spike for one split is getting to the finals to just get beaten by G2. It was like Unicorns. It was with Nuke Duck. Nuke Duck.
It was his teammate.
Was that Schalke or was that
Schalke and Origin?
He
was
was
both.
the coach of the team. All those two. There was
both.
Origin in the beginning of LEC, and then the ULCS there was Schalke with.
I guess it was Origin. Yeah, because Schalke was against Fnatic.
Oh yeah, true.
Actually, both finals.
I heard the coach was really, really good on that.
Yeah, both finals we lost were against the world finalists on that same year.
True.
I mean, but it was like with all respect, like, I mean, you guys played really, really well at the time, but as somebody who wasn't on, who was like
was so
watching
big
from the outside, you guys were like 20-80 underdogs in those finals, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And today, you just don't consider it. Maybe people should have considered Korea 2080 underdog, but now I think it's a lot more even, and it's a lot more teams believe that they can win, even if it may be an illusion. It's that they believe, and I think that's a massive positive moving forwards for sure.
Sure. By the way, I'll even say on that latter point, I'll do it in order. on the point of like just seeing a name not called G2 win, and in fact 2 of the 3 splits not won by G2, I'll give everyone, I just did a bit of quick maths on the paper there. So G2 joined the EULCS in 2016. Like, since then, there have been 22 titles available. They won 16 of them. Like, that's fucking mental, bro. Like, what's that, like Bayern Munich in the fucking Bundesliga? So that's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's impossible. Essentially, it means that the bar, which is why this year was so interesting, is you're supposed to win the league by default. And if anything, people already, if they were fans of G2, just skipped ahead to like, and how will they do it MSI? It's like, you have to win the league first. You're supposed to take care of that, but that was a formality. And even if a team won as a fluke before, you used to think, well, it's a fluke, innit? They probably won't do it again, or that roster will get picked apart, or even worse, like one of their best players will go to G2 and then they'll be crippled at that point in time. So I even think, because I set this up before, this is actually a take I had through most of the year, was like, when G2 was awesome in this split, I said, well, you could actually get the scenario where you have 3 different teams win, and even better, it ends with G2. If you actually wanted to do like a fucking shonen anime or some fucking cinema type league, this is literally how you would cast it. Because as you say, the 2 biggest new fan bases is this giant Spanish fan base. By the way, even 4 of the players are fucking Spanish in the team. And then the Carmine Corp thing, they have their own horde of fucking fans, don't they? The Blue Wall. So literally, if you wanted to script the league, this is what you'd do. You'd have the Carmine Corp ones get like the big roster and then immediately win. So it's like, holy shit, is this a whole new league? Is it just their league now? Is G2 not even going to win? Oh, and they get smart. And then in the second one, which is with the least important in theory, MCOY gets to win on some Mad Lion shit, funnily enough. So that's like, oh, the plucky underdogs, fucking got their identity together and they won. It's cool, everyone gets a good angle on that one. And then lastly, G2, who's been in all the finals but failed and hasn't won, they're supposed to be the best. And at the end, that's the coronation, isn't it? That's the kings actually getting crowned. And then if you're someone like Dylan Falco, it's like, job done. At the end of the year, you got to where you needed to be, mate. So I actually think it's a banger, mate, yeah. And also, I do think as well, if you look at the 3 teams, listen, obviously Carmine Corp, that was a million years ago, so it doesn't reflect the team now. Yeah. But at the time, they all, in their own way, did deserve to win. Like, Carmine Corp was fucking sick in that win as well. That was when Vladi was like MVP material. MCOY, actually, I always said, I don't care what you think about their roster. They had the best like profile or identity as a team at that time. Like, they all knew how they were playing it. So you could imagine in that split, if you were El Yoyo, you were like, this is why I put this project together. This is why I wanted all these people and all these Spanish guys and my mate coaching the team. It makes sense. And then, as I say, the G2 one, the expectation is you have to win. You're not allowed to come second 3 times. That actually would be considered failure. So it's actually good that they finally got a title. And they had actually, if you look in the regular season of some, they were the best team as well. They deserved that one. I know what you mean about the Fnatic one, by the way. The funny thing about the Fnatic one is, if we're given the analogy that we also want the biggest fan bases to all get to win, that's fine for Fnatic though, Andrew, because basically they're all the Arsenal fans of fucking league anyway. They're all masochists who want to believe it's possible at the beginning of the season. At the end they go, nah, bloody hell, fire everyone out. Like, next season, lads. Next season's one. So in some ways, it all fit. Everyone's happy in their own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think this is like not an attack on G2 in any way. Just this is what G2 needs to. I mean, G2. Yeah. It's like when you win that much, right? Like, and you only have the chance to improve when you go into internationals. Like, you will be going into internationals to learn instead of to compete and to get the best out of it. So I think G2 was the first year that, from an outside perspective, I felt that they felt inside that, like, okay, we need to improve in Europe in order to make it where we want to be, instead of just being like putting the whole preparation or the whole premise of, we know how to win in Europe, we need to do things different to go international. Like, the game is the same. I hear that a lot of times, but like the game is like, no, it does, the numbers don't change when you go abroad.
Fair enough. Also, I actually think if you look at the 3 teams, it makes sense for all 3 teams. It's actually good that Carmine Corp got to win, but then not go, this LEC thing's a piece of piss, actually. You just win easily. We've got all the best players. Who cares? Like, no, it's actually really hard to maintain that. And also, guess what, guys? You might have like diva problems in the team. You might have people who don't get along. You might have people who go, hey, now that we've won, play to me. You have all that shit that happens in every top team. Then if you're MCOY, by the way, great message to the league, which is you don't have to just sign all the best fucking players. You can just sign players that work together together and then fucking actually win by doing the right things in the game, not by some of the biggest names. And if you're G2, actually, I agree. If you look at how they were, people forget how bad they were at MSI, mate. That team, that would have been a fucking joke to send to Worlds. They would have just come like 11th or something. It wouldn't have mattered. So you actually needed them to have to level up. And it looks like they did. It looks like they... By the way, I thought the macro in Summer was like twice as good as before when they were making the finals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it was very clear that they were much more focused in Summer, especially compared to Spring. In Spring, like you saw BB and Caps like just walking. Sometimes they just walk around the map like without thinking and get caught in regular season games, right? Which is when G2 were dominant in the past. You know, some of the criticisms you would have at G2 on G2 is that regular season they wouldn't take it that seriously. But this, like, after losing 2 finals, I think it was a sharp shock to the system for especially their solo laners because they've been around forever, right? Obviously, SkewMond and Labrov had something to prove, right? And Hans, he's pretty consistent, right? But like the especially for Caps and BB, like I think that was a shock for them that we have to take this seriously. We have to take regular season seriously, and I think this is the first time in maybe since Yikes rookie year, and then before Yikes rookie year for a long time before that, where I saw G2 like actually properly lock in regular season.
By the way, I'd also say it's actually a good thing for G2, the org, that they had to learn what all the same thing their fans did, which is you don't just automatically win because you have Caps. What if Caps isn't the fucking absolute super duper god tier best player? What if he's just a good mid laner? Yeah, you might actually need the other players to play too. And also, they gambled on fucking Labrov and SkewMond, so it shows how like that gamble doesn't just get to win automatically. You have to make that team work too. It doesn't matter that you think it should work. Like you gamble on a rookie, you bring in a player who's never performed in a final. They had their own challenges. It wasn't like they had the super team in every sense either. Yep. Right, go on then. Let's go on then.
I agree.
Guilhoto, Peter, what is your good point?
So I was actually, because this is our final year show, I was going to make this my points about like my awards for the year. Okay, so but then my ugly point, sadly, like recent events have basically made the ugly point something that I cannot turn into an award show because because in terms of ugly, it may be one of the most ugliest things.
Could be drama of the year. You could give it that.
Yeah, but I will make my good point of the year is going to be Poby, and my good point of the year for Poby is by doing nothing, he is arguably the best mid-roster swap of the year, with the potential exception of Isma.
Okay.
Okay. And like Isma, maybe you put Isma number 1 and Poby number 2, but just for the sake of my point, I'm going to put Poby at number 1 and Isma number 2, or tied first. And by basically not doing much, there have been 13 mid-season roster swaps in the LEC. 10 of them have been complete and utter disasters. One of them is Fleshy, which, maybe it's fixing a disaster. And then the other 2 are Isma and Poby. And, Poby did his job. I don't think, it's clear that from reading between the lines of what's being said at the interviews, him just doing things outside of the game had a positive impact. I definitely, obviously I'm a humanoid defender, but I don't think I've seen Oscar play a series as good as he played into KC.
Oh, the cannon was excellent.
With Humanoid as his mid laner. Of course, he was completely awful in the next series. But he clearly, Poby has added something to this team. It doesn't make me think that they have any firepower to do anything dangerous at Worlds. But, mid-season move, award of the year, best mid-season transfer of the year. Good job, Fnatic. And sometimes it's how the team fits together, right? Personality-wise, and that's why they're at Worlds, right? So because they managed it well, and other teams that they were competing against didn't, and fair enough. So number 1 award of the year.
I mean, I can agree with that. It's like I wouldn't. I guess it's not really like Poby did something special or different, but yeah, the team did function better. I mean, but I don't know what was it necessarily, but it probably was just like having someone that wanted to play, I guess.
Sure. By the way, I'll even say on that, right? This is actually a concept that's really misunderstood. I'll actually use a football example for you, right? Do I actually think that the forwards for PSG are better than Mbappe? No. Like, if you had to make them play for their national team, they wouldn't be better players. But I actually do think that removing Mbappe, who's a better player, arguably made PSG become a better team because they played as an actual team more and the structure became fucking amazing and they have very unselfish forwards. It's a concept, if people don't know, called addition by subtraction. And basically, that's literally what I think Poby did. I don't think he ever, I watched all the games, mate. Unless he was doing something in scrims. In games, he just looked like an average mid laner that just moved around the map as you should in the most predictable way possible and probably was told by the others, like, group at the Dragon now, or come over now, or just stay in the lane. His actual job and his ultimate success was not being humanoid while still having hands. That's actually awesome. And then also, like you're hunting at the end there, not being humanoid is also awesome if you want someone to be really motivated and hungry to win. By the way, Koreans who haven't made it to LCK properly are super hungry to just play the game 1 billion hours. Their method of how you win is you just play it as much as you can and then hope somehow you're in the LCK. Like, that's actually a really good thing that this guy was probably super hungry, because I've told everyone on this show, I heard in the off season when that move was announced, people within Fnatic just told me, oh, humanoid basically just didn't want to play anymore, mate. Like, he sort of, like, his vibe had gone. Like, he just didn't, look, he could have played, and obviously he was skilled enough to play, but he just didn't give a fuck, sort of. And so, like, that, in a way, I do think, even though part of me thinks, why are we figuring that out halfway through the year and then reversing someone for the last split? Yeah, sure. But even so, once you're in that position, if I can take out someone like that, who, by the way, I'm sort of, if I'm bringing Humanoid in, I can Mbappe, it's going to be all about him. It should be about him doing that if I pay him that much and put him in the middle lane. So I can't have him sort of like, I'll turn up and do what I can, because I'll make a controversial statement here. If you're a Fnatic fan, you might actually delude yourself, because yes, Humanoid had some awesome regular splits sometimes this year, actually. You might think, but imagine if we'd had Humanoid, I don't think you would have even done this run. I think you would have actually come forth or worse if Humanoid had been here. I actually think there's a world where you saw in those past splits, bro, in the past splits, they had some games early in series where they destroyed the best teams in the LEC, the champions, etc. But then they would just, in the same series, throw every lead into the toilet and then have games that were absolutely atrocious to end the split. And sometimes those were to do with him too. Sometimes just not carrying a game, having a bad game. So I actually think the Poby angle did, in a weird way, sort of save Fnatic. It's why they're at Worlds now for me. And also, I do think actually removing him I think it did have the effect I hoped for, Peter. It made other people in the team have to take a bit of accountability themselves, and they have to do things and they have to play to their game, etc. And actually, I have to give Fnatic credit. By the end, they actually looked pretty good. I've got a point about that coming later, but for what they had, they sort of did get somewhere by the end. So no, I thought, all in all, I thought it was like, it was an excellent swap, which is crazy, because I certainly never thought, if someone told me at the beginning of the year, the best roster move will be replacing Humanoid with Poby in Fnatic. That sounds like someone just fucking used a randomizer on the words, on the nouns in that sentence. Like, doesn't even sound real, does it?
Yeah. I mean, I'll say one more thing on this, though, which is that obviously it's no secret that when I was a coach, I like to build rosters with rookies and veterans, and everyone can understand what the benefit of a veteran is in a situation like that, right? Which is that they train up your rookies. But the one thing that having those rookies in the team did is it held the veterans to be more accountable, but also the rookies would always bring new energy, right? Because one thing, if you've been in esports for a long time, everything is just so mundane, everything is so routine, and having somebody there in the team who's like really excited. Oh my God, it's my first day of LEC. Oh my God, it's like they have free drinks backstage, like they have like a beanbag. Look,
they win the BO1 and
somebody like that,
they go and do that first interview where they go, we can beat G2. You want that,
happiness,
I mean, I agree with that.
By the way, it's basically the concept of like,
rookie.
When you have the fucking old dog and then you bring a puppy, like, it does bring life out the old dog, because it has to get hype, has to play with the puppy. Yeah, it sort of brings it back. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think there are some rookies that are a bit exception to that, but there are also some veterans that are a bit exception to that. But like in general, I think it's very, very normal.
By the way, I'll even give an example. He's only a few years into his career. I even think the same thing applies to Oscarinin, right? He hasn't still learned yet what it's like to be a Fnatic, mate. He still, every time he wins a playoff series, does that interview where it's sort of like, I'm actually trashing everyone and I'll probably just win the league now, lol. And you can tell, like, people who are in Fnatic are just like, what are you doing, bro? Shut up. Like, but that I sort of fuck with that energy, though. I want someone to believe that. I don't want the person to do an interview like, I don't know, we'll try, but, probably won't win or anything. You don't want that, too. You want a mix of both. I get it.
The one thing though
Being
about this
bold
whole
is not a bad
situation, though,
thing.
which sorry, Gil, you first.
No, I mean, I was just saying that, like, being bold I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a show business and it's a competition, and that is usually good for both. I don't want to have players that are like, yeah, my goal in first split of LEC is to make the playoffs. Right? Even if you're Camilo.
Sure, makes sense. I mean, for me though, like, we talked about the positives of the transfer. The other thing that I'm going to say positive is Grabs here, because when the transfer was being made, Grabs was the one who stuck his neck out. He's the one who did all the interviews. He's the one who was like, basically hold me accountable if this works or doesn't work. Everyone else in Fnatic just sat there and was really, really silent when people were getting criticism, and Grabs stuck his neck out. And then as soon as they go to Worlds, everyone comes out and is like, team effort. There's like, I mean, Sam Matthews, like, when I did a post, not even like criticizing Fnatic, just like I said, good job, Grabs. You put your neck on the line. I didn't believe it was going to work, but it did work. Fair enough. And then the first thing that he tweets back is, there's no I in team. Grabs' neck was never on the line. This is a team effort. Everyone, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my God, why? So, okay, so you had 30 people making this decision. Why are they not coming out and saying like, why are they not taking responsibility for the decision before you know whether it's going to work? And are you telling me that, you say there's no I in team? Great. So if it hadn't worked, are you saying that those guys would have come out and be like, no, it wasn't Grabs' fault. It was my fault. Fans of this, blame me. It was my scouting data that wasn't good or something like this, right? And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, like in a very, very, in a way that made me feel a little bit icky about this entire situation. Because, I don't know how Fnatic made the decision, but I know that like it was set up to take the fall if it failed, which was Grabs. The fact that he was willing to do it, and it obviously you don't do that if you don't have faith in the decision. So he clearly had faith in the decision, and it was repaid. So fair play to Grabs, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I also think actually he handled the move quite classy. He didn't just like blame Humanoid and bring out all the reasons. If you know the guy's never going to play, by the way, and he's not even come off the bench ever, you could just put all the blame on him for the past two splits and then go forwards and have your fans believe, right? Clean slate, no problem. He didn't do that. He barely even blamed Humanoid at all. He just sort of like replaced him. I was like, we just had to do this move, and this was the move to do, and so here's the squad. Like, I agree. And that's also something people should give Grabs credit for, because it might seem easy when you're in G2 with the greatest super team of all time to take the blame and say it was my draft and I fucked up. Yeah, that's because you're winning all the time, mate. That seems like you get your reward. In this case, I agree. It was very unlikely they were going to win the split. So at some point, someone was going to get blame. And if it had ever gone badly, by the way, in the playoffs for Poby, Grabs would have gotten all the blame, mate. He would have been the guy. They'd have said he was an idiot. Like the people who already think Humanoid would have done better would have gone crazy on this guy. In fact, they would have. I can tell you, I know Fnatic fans. First thing they would say is fire Grabs before they even got to any of the players. So yeah,
I mean, especially on a 1-year contract, right? Like they wouldn't even have to.
No, exactly.
To fire him, but like his neck was on the line. He was the only one that came out and publicly spoke about it. I mean, I think some of the players did as well. I remember a lot of times hearing Grasorg saying that Fnatic like knew it was me or Humanoid. We couldn't really play together anymore.
Yeah.
Oscar saying that his thing was on the line, so. Sam Matthew, like might say that like there is no I in team, but at the end of the day, like everyone was on the line, and one guy made the decisions of who was staying and who was going, and that guy would deserve the blame if he was wrong, and that guy deserves the credit if he was right, and in this case he was right.
Yep.
Because like we talk about that change, but the reality is that I thought that Oscarinin, after all of this drama, would end up being completely destroyed.
Yeah.
But it was the opposite way. He gave him a new spark, and this split he played better than the previous two. So that one also, in a way, it also worked out for them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, shout out to Razok for confirming what everyone has told me I'm wrong about for about half a decade or whatever it is, which is that, like, oh no, there was Razok and Humanoid are fine playing together. Shut the fuck up. I have eyes. You are aware these things here, they're not glass, you know. I can see the fucking games. Give me, and also, spoiler, I've known all the players behind the scenes. I wasn't just guessing that, you know. I maybe had an inkling of what might be going on behind the scenes. Anyway, now we go to my good point. So my good point, if you know my style, I just hit all the points I like as hard as possible when they happen. Then when I don't, I just put them in like the ugly category. Like, oh, it's ugly that what I said didn't happen. So here's the good point. Fuck G2. SkewMond just won the LEC. Yes. Like, this player is a rookie player, guys. This is the first year of his career, and he's not one of those rookies like Yike, where they're like 29 years old with 2 kids and a mortgage. Like, he's actually a real rookie in every sense, and he's just gone straight into the biggest high-pressure team ever. By the way, even though actually his solo laners this year overall probably were weaker than they were in past years of their own careers, actually, if you have broken bladed caps, I'm sorry, every fan thinks you should just walk to the title. You should never lose, mate. And I do think loads of people had the recency bias at the end of each split. They just remembered the finals. And in the finals and the other two, he wasn't that good. Actually, sometimes he looked like he was a weaker spot. So I think what people do is they forget the regular splits. Because, by the way, I'll just say it right now, I'm biased, but I think he was the best jungler the whole year. I think if you look at the regular splits, it was fucking awesome. I thought each split, maybe a different jungler could compete. Maybe it was Razok, maybe it was Ike one time, maybe Elyoya. But if you look over the whole 3 splits, the floor of this guy was fucking amazing. Like, I even say, even in his like failures internationally where he wasn't that good, each time he had like one game against Gen G, etc. He was like fucking beating up on Canyon. Like, this guy's a fucking. I actually think for real, this is like a generational jungler. Like, this is going to be in the category of the Inspireds of the world, the Yankoses of the world. This could be one of the best players to come in the LEC, and it was a gamble for G to pick him up. If you hadn't have won, people would have said, fire this guy and Labrov. That would be what every fan would say. Or they'd say what they said after Winter Split that everyone's forgotten now. Why the hell did you let Yike go? Yike was the truth, man. How's that working out, by the way, KC fans? Yeah, yikes, exactly. So I think this is a fucking banger pickup. I love this is the most obvious one of the 2 pickups they did. This was the player that everyone, by the way, at this point in time, he just was BDS Academy. I know everyone said that all the other players were good. He's the only one that made it, boys. He is sick. And I just think he's just a fucking dope player. Like, it's not like the usual rookies that we come in that are good at jungle. He doesn't just play Lee Sin and do loads of ganks. Like, sorry about that, Razok. He actually plays like the real fucking champions and tries to play on the map and do macro. Like, I actually love this fucking guy's game. I'm a big fan. So I love that SkewMond became a champion at the end. Thoughts, Guilhoto?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it was the best jungler of the year. I still think that Elyoya was above him, just because I think that the worst split of SkewMond was much worse than whatever worst split of Elyoya was. But he was my vote of rookie of the split instead of Kaliste. And I started the year saying I think he's going to be one of the main reasons why G2 doesn't make it to Worlds, and I ended the year saying on interviews as well, but this one's obviously no one talks, that I think SkewMond right now is a top 3 player in LEC. Not a top 3 jungler, just a top 3 player. I think MSI and DWC did him very, very good. It felt that, like, at the start, he still wanted to have a similar playstyle to what he had in BDS. Very focused on being efficient and on his timings. And I think that G2 learned a lot about it, and especially SkewMond, just about the importance of controlling certain space and how that space is the thing that gives you what you want instead of the other way around. Like, a lot of times people were thinking about the game in a way where if you want Drake, you have to control this and that. And I think that Asian teams and now G2, and the best way to see it's mostly the other way around. You want to control this space, and once you control them, you can feel free to do whatever it gives you access to. And this is not only river or push on lanes or something like this. Is certain chokes and the ability of people being kind of like fake pressuring and defending their pinks a bit more. And and all of that. And I think that SkewMond understood that pretty well. And I think that right now he's playing incredibly well.
Also, by the way,
not like a rookie at all.
Even think about the storyline for the summer split. He's playing the team that already beat him in the last split, and in that team, El Yoya, who's another top jungler, basically runs the whole fucking team and can just call everyone to do whatever he wants. I don't think SkewMond can do that in his team. He has, like you say, he had to adapt to his squad in some ways. So I think it was an awesome fucking storyline because it's like a gradual line that goes up over the year. That's what you want from a top rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's incredible. I still think that if Parus would have learned something like this, he could have been there. And I think that Kalista was very close to be there. And I think that the last 2 years that we had of rookies were incredible. And it saddens me that this year it doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere close.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say from the SkewMond side is if you want to see how players like SkewMond normally end up in when they make the transition from LEC from ERLs into LEC, Linkers is the perfect example, right? They were very, very similar in their styles when they were in ERLs. But the difference is that SkewMond developed like a lot of these. Like the important thing when you make the transition up to LEC is you cannot just play for full efficiency all the time. You need to know when you sacrifice those efficiencies. And that is something that I think SkewMond really, really pushed on with. And I think that's what makes him so efficient. Sorry, not efficient is the wrong word I'm looking for here, right? But makes him so effective coming into summer. And I think if you look at Paris, he didn't develop in that way. And I think this is credit to G2, but it's also credit to SkewMond, right? Like it's not easy coming in. So he came in, played his original style, which was okay. He looked kind of mediocre. He looked like a mediocre jungle at the start of the year. Then switched his style, which then made him look like a really bad, kind of a bad jungler, right? Like not even a top 5 jungler, I would have said in winter. From when he changed his style, and then you gradually got to see the benefits, and he didn't give up on switching his style. And I think that's definitely been to G2's credit. I would say that the credit here shouldn't go to G2 for good scouting, because I think pretty much everyone knew that
It was a slam
SkewMond
dunk player to sign, right?
Yeah, like I mean, pretty much everyone thought SkewMond was going to be like a really had the potential to be a really top player. But the credit they deserve is the development aspect.
By the way, you could even argue G2 would have been more as if they hadn't signed, because imagine if he'd gone to Carmine Corp. You'd have just given them
I think
the
if he'd gone to Carmine Corp, he wouldn't be this player. I think that if he'd gone to like
BDS to play with Paris, maybe.
Yeah, like I mean, I think he would have either had to go on and kept playing with Paris and BDS, although BDS didn't have that much. Didn't look like they were that didn't look like an org that would develop that flexibility, which is why he's now a top 3 player. I agree with Guilhoto; he's a top 3 player in the league. But it's because he developed that flexibility, which he got on G2. And I don't want to glaze Guilhoto because he's our guest today, but I think the only orgs that he would have developed that flexibility was either on G2 or on GX, right? And you saw the Isma developing in a similar skill set, right? But I think even if he'd gone up on BDS, I don't think he would have developed that flexibility that he's got now.
Yeah. No, listen.
I think in Mad Lions too. I mean, thank you very much, but like I think in Mad Lions too, it would be possible. But I agree. I mean, to me, there is just like there are small things that especially like jungle and supports do that you can see that this development is happening. Like it's very normal, for example, that basically, like when let's say that you want to invade a camp, right? Or you want to invade blue buff, and a lot of times the things that normal junglers will look at is, do I have push mid? Do I have push top? If I have, I can go invade. But a lot of times when you are like similar strength, or you have like some abilities to not be engaged on, or if you're engaged on, to bait in positions where they are favored to you, where you can kite easily, then you can just go to the buff and try to kind of like reset it, and you'll basically provoke enemy mid and enemy top to move, because enemy jungler is calling them, hey, jungler is invading me, you need to come help. And by you making them move, then you'll forcibly cause your laners to have push, and if you are able to with abilities reset the buff instead of gaining them from their timing. Then on the timing that you have push and you can play on the buff. And if you can't, then at least you force them to move and you are faster on the other side. So then you guaranteed mid push so you can play for the enemy Raptors because you delayed his blue buff. And like all of these small things is just, it defies the basics of the game to make you so you can gain so much more advantage. And it looks like, oh, he just wasted his time. He didn't get enemy blue buff. He just wasted his time instead of doing his Raptors. But it's once you start to understand what provoking enemy team to do things does to the rest of the sequence of your game is what, in my head, makes progression on a jungler and or on a support. And I think that SkewMond does that incredibly well, like incredibly well.
Just a side tangent, actually, just as a slight tangent, because I was listening to what you're saying here. Obviously, this is something as coaches that we know, but fans just will never see this, right? Like they'll never see it. Like, do you think it's responsibility for broadcast to educate fans for this, or just because a lot of people don't understand why, may not understand why we're saying SkewMond is a top 3 player, other than looking at KDAs and things like this. I mean, you know, like let's be real, right? Like, so who do you think should be responsible for educating fans?
I think no one. I mean, to be fair, I don't think anyone should be responsible. I think that there are a lot of content creators that already educate on kind of like the basics, and I think that for a fan that's kind of enough. If you are like an inspiring coach, then you should try to get access to this information either by yourself or talking to others. But I don't think that, I mean, at least I don't believe that there is a moral obligation for coaches to educate fans. I don't see that being done in any other sport. So yeah, I don't think that that there is a need.
The problem is, Peter, in theory, the answer is the broadcast. But I can also tell you, in esports right now, all that matters is eyeballs. And so actually, you're not incentivized to do boring, nerdy shit. You're actually just incentivized to entertain people. It should probably be more about just making fun, simple to follow storylines. So as I think if you go super deep on jungle pathing, put it this way, Emily Rant's tried this. People just glaze over, mate. They don't understand it. Because as Guilhoto suggests, it's not like solo queue, mate. There's all these different factors you have to consider. It's too nerdy for people, unfortunately. I feel like that you have to just hope they get it. You have to hope.
Or hope that they'll search out the right people to do it. Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Okay. Right, let's go to the bad. So, Guilhoto, what was bad this year?
So to me, what was bad was, I mean, and I was scared that everyone would put this, but maybe it's like so obvious that no one did. But like the summer format to me is just really, really bad. Not the fact that it's best of 3. The groups thing, the thing that is bad on the group things is that I think that the 9th place is the group that has the biggest saying, or is the team that has the biggest saying. Because if you're 9th place on the previous split, you're like, wow, those are the 3 groups that I see, or the 2 groups that I see. I can choose exactly which group I go to with all the information. So even the selecting process, I think, was bad, but I think it's incredible that for basically our schedule in regular split was, I think the playoffs format is great, okay, but like in regular split, our schedule was basically in 1 week we played 3 games. From Saturday to Saturday, I think we played 3 games, and the last game I think was on 9th or 10th of August, and then we didn't play again for 17 days. And then we played 1 game on those 17 days, and then we waited 2 weeks to play a best of. So I remember seeing that, like, if you go to the limit, we were like close to a month where we only played 1 best of 3. And I think that this cannot be an acceptable format for a region that wants or wishes to be competitive. It's also incredibly unfair to some teams, because if you are a team that plays every week, you get much more into the rhythm than if you have big breaks. And obviously we are not the only ones, and I think this might be a bit harder to understand for someone that is not in, but practicing without a close objective in mind where it comes to the game on the weekend is not easy. You being able to get kind of like a reality check or a confirmation of the things that you are working on stage for so long is not easy, and especially like skipping a whole patch is not or without playing it on stage almost is not easy. So yeah, I think that this format, I mean, Riot already said it, they won't repeat it again, but from the group stage to the amount of break, to me it's, but I like the playoffs one, so yeah.
But I mean, even for playoffs, I would say the 2-week gap between quarterfinals into top 4 was pretty rough as well.
That I agree. Yeah.
And there was a crazy gap, I think, from upper bracket final to the final two for G2. It was it was nuts how much gap there was. Go on, Peter.
I mean, like, I don't know what to say. Like, it's the format was horrifically bad. Like, the fact that you have single round robin into top 2, play a best of 5, top 2 in your group. The difference between 2 and 3 is massive.
Yeah.
The difference between 4 and 5 is massive. In a situation where, because you're playing single round robin, unless the group literally ends up in the perfect way, 4 win, 3 win, 2 win, 1 win, 0 win, you're going to have like some weird form of tiebreakers, which means that every single single best of 1, like in a fearless format, makes like a ridiculous amount of difference. It was just ridiculous, right? Because the most likely situation that's going to have, if you run those single round robin things, is one team is going to be, you're either going to have a 3-1, 3-1 into 1-1, 1-1. Is like, you're going to, basically, if you do this, you're very likely to have a 3-way tie. And the way that they were deciding 3-way ties, like game wins in a fearless format, where fearless really, really wrecks game difference as well.
And if you are tied on game series, the decider would be your placement last split.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Instead of just playing the game, right? Like, instead of just
with all these extra weeks they have.
Yeah.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this format is, I think in theory, it's not that bad to have like these 2 groups like this, but definitely you can't have 2 groups like this with a top 2, right? Like, you should have like top 1 and then the way before, because again, 3-way tie is very, very likely to happen in a format like this, right?
Yeah.
But I think the problem was having those groups into the top 2 being such, like, again, I really, really must stress this, coming top 2 in your group was such a massive, massive, massive difference versus coming third. And you're deciding that by best of 1 single round robin.
Yeah.
And like, Riot are very, very lucky that things worked out in the way that they did. Because I mean, most people would have said over the course of the year that these 4 teams were the best teams, but there were worlds where like things like this didn't happen, right?
I mean, just if we don't throw the third game against Mad Lions, we are first in the group.
Yeah, exactly. Or even the second game against
KC
Koi, right?
KC, I mean, we threw both games, we lost against Koi, but KC, I think it would, maybe Mad Lions would still get first.
Right.
So I don't know if it would change much.
All right.
But on the group choice, I mean, to me, it's like, if I'm fine with groups, but I think then just like be the other way around and let the team above choose what group the next team goes to. Like Koi was first in the split, they choose what group G2 goes to. And then G2 chooses what group the next team, I think it was KC, goes to. And then KC chooses Fnatic, and Fnatic chooses us, and we choose Heretics. And I think this is a better way than just give the full power to SK for being ninth place.
Yeah. By the way, that's actually a model that literally came from Korean StarCraft. They used to have a tournament that did that, where the top seeds basically like moved people around in the groups and made, because it could also create storylines and narratives and shit.
Yeah.
And you get a sense of who must be good in scrims, even though you think in the server they'd be better. Yeah, it's good. No, first of all, I'll hit a bunch of the topics you guys did. Basically, the Guilhoto point about the number of days is that's the concept of ring rust. If people don't know, it's not that like a boxer who hasn't fought for 3 years doesn't train. It's that, and if you're not in the ring playing the like official game in that analogy, you just do lose something. It's not the same. You have to adapt to that, and it's its own sort of like learning curve. So I do think actually having weeks between, or just shit like where some teams didn't play in a week, I thought that was the most mental aspect of the format. It was so silly. Then also there's the whole factor that one of the things you took away from the league is now everyone doesn't play everyone in the regular split. So you don't ever get to see G2 Carmine Corp unless it's in the playoffs. You don't get to see Fnatic versus MCoin unless it's in the playoffs. You've taken away one of the few things that was good about the fucking regular splits. Then lastly, just contrast it with the LCK. So the LCK and the LPL both did 2 group systems that were vastly superior. They had one group where it's all the best teams. That's like the fucking box office group where you just watch all the best teams play each other. By the way, in the LCK, you played 3 times against all the teams in your group. And then also, you just played way more games in the LCK. I've looked up the numbers. In the LEC regular split, you played 4 best of 3s. In the LCK, you played 12 best of 3s. That's absurd, especially when at the end of it, you're going to produce teams that go to the same tournament. What are we doing? The amount of regular like reps in real official games is going to be crazy in comparison. Also, by the way, I'll just throw it out there. This is like an unexpected angle people won't even have thought of. What about people like Fnatic with Poby? You get 4 BO3s in the regular season with this guy after you make the big roster move in the off season, and then he just has to go into playoffs and worlds. Like, what are we doing at this point in time? So I thought it was ass. And on the topic, that Riot did the classic Riot thing, where the second something goes badly and everyone hates it, they go, yeah, we also think this actually wasn't good and we regret doing it. Shut the fuck up. It's 2025. You still haven't figured out formats. These have all been running every game, you dickhead. Like, you could tell this was shit going in. Nothing about it was good. There was no upside or selling point. I never saw a single person say this was good or there was a reason it was good. This was obviously going to be bad from the beginning. As far as I can tell, you just did it because Riot's approach this year was let's make every split different. That's it. That's all they seem to do. Every split will have a different format. I don't know for what reason. I still haven't figured that part out. Just variety, novelty, whatever the fuck you want to say it was. But this was just the worst pick. And you could tell this was bad going in. So the idea, also, here's the other thing. If this was the winter split, I'd forgive it. This is the most important split. There's no regional. This is the qualifier for Worlds. And what you're telling people is play 4 BO3s. And as we're talking about Guilhoto, if you just throw 2 game 3s, maybe you just fuck your whole season. Because as Peter says, getting top 2, by the way, meant you just had to win 1 BO5 here at Worlds. If you lose essentially 1 or 2 single games, you can have to play like 3 extra BO5s or something nuts like that. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you can't make the scales that crazy. Like, the most important game can't be 1 BO3 in the fucking regular split. It needs to be the playoff, for fuck's sake. So I think the whole thing from top to bottom was ass. It was terrible. Good bad point. Right, go then, Peter. What's your bad point?
Okay, so my second award is the biggest shooting in the foot of a team in the entire split. You know, I talked about you know, proper trade off, and like I had a 3-2-1. So my third is like Na'Vi like throwing themselves into the fire because of the Tiger situation, where they didn't tell him, like for a team that really cares about their off season, not telling him that he was only going to be signed for 1 split, which basically ruined their whole off season. Second, I had BDS. But yeah, like biggest shooting in the foot for the entire year has to be KC, right? Like, I mean, literally, they stumbled it. So I think the way that KC build their rosters are like I like what they do with Academy. I like that they have a third team with like 16, 17-year-olds or whatever, you know, like the really like Masters, you know, Diamond 1 players, right? That they go and find. And then I like that they really invest in KCB. And I like that they got the payoffs, right? Which is they got their 2 really good rookies this year coming in. They brought in Yike for veteran presence. They have like the best top laner in the league at the start of the year. They have Targamaz, who exists, but he does the dirty work. You know, you need somebody on the team to do the dirty work. So they stumbling in is not quite accurate, but they came upon this roster, which, you know, is a bit of luck, right? Always when you're promoting rookies, there's some luck involved because you never know how they're going to progress. They hit the jackpot, and basically, like, through mismanagement, fucked it all up. And like, this really kind of makes me sad, because I feel that this kind of behavior by orgs should be rewarded in the talent development route, taking risk on rookies and things like this. And it looked like they had the makings of what could have been a very, very strong team for a long, long time. And you listen to rumors now, and it looks like Vladi is like almost 100% out. And it looks like there's a lot of things behind the scenes that are completely unfixable.
Yeah.
And it just pisses me off because all you have to do, and I think I mentioned this on Twitter, right? Like when they lost, literally, if you are a coach in this kind of situation, you just literally need to stand back, manage things, make sure things just progress, and just not leak what's going on inside your team, and not like spread false information or something. And like obviously one guy has been blamed for this, but maybe there were multiple people leaking stuff. But to me, the frustrating thing is, you didn't even get paid for it, right? Like the team had really bad environment because a lot of things were basically just being leaked from within the team. Everyone, like I'm not even in the scene anymore, and people coming to me and like, oh, did you hear about this this KC drama between so and so and so and so? And it's like, sir, this is a Wendy's, like that's kind of like my thought for all of this. But like so many people, you just hear all the time, and it just frustrates me because to me this is a team that should have been really, really good for a very, very long time, and people just couldn't keep their mouths shut until the off season. And so even when it was clear that it was really, really negatively affecting the players, and to me this is like this is just a tragedy to me. Like even if you hate KC, you should still consider this to be a tragedy, because it will incentivize teams to not behave in an appropriate way in the future. And for me, I think rookies should have chances, and this should have been a very strong long-term project, and it just wasn't allowed to become. And to me, that's my shooting in the foot award of the year.
Yeah, I mean, so I will go on all three. So I think that like on Navi, I'll actually be the devil's advocate. But if a team signed you for 6 months, then it's they didn't really. I don't think that Navi did anything shady. To be fair, like they got the guy for a split. It's not like they didn't tell him it would be for only a split. Literally, the contract says that it's a contract for a split. So it's it's not like they signed him for a year and one split, and then they got rid of him after a split. They literally only signed him for a split. So
was that the case? Because he gave an interview saying that he was told it was. Okay, maybe he misunderstood that. Maybe I'm just.
On contract database, I mean, they are not kicking him. They are literally like, I think they're not kicking him. It's just like it's. I'll double check on the contract database, but.
I mean, to be clear, from Navi's side, like the guy that they're bringing in is really fucking cracked, right? Like he's really, really good.
I mean, he's good. Yeah.
It's just like how you negotiate with your players in the off season if this happens, right? But maybe.
Yeah, his contract ends on the 17th of November this year.
This year, yeah. I mean, so I think that they just signed him for a split, and like, I mean, they probably didn't tell him like what I think.
Sure.
Hearing him when I heard him in Sport Maniacals was basically he was saying that like he was never informed that Ridish was already signed, and that he thought that he would be there a split, like as a proving ground, and if he did good, then he would get a renewal contract on next year. But like that renewal just doesn't exist, right? Because Ridish was signed before.
Sure.
But I mean, I think BDS shooting in the foot was crazy, because now I think they just set a precedent. Like they just paid 200K for Bocada. Like it starts from there, right? Like I'm not even mentioning from like the start, but like let's say they paid 200K for Bocada, and now let's say that they want to buy. I don't know. They got rid of Parus, right? So let's say they want to buy June. Like they already set a precedent, and that Bocada was 200K. Like how much do you think June would be? Like how much do you think that if you wanted, I don't know, Labrov back, how much do you think Labrov would be? How much do you think Alvaro would be? It's like you literally set your own precedent that for a player of the quality of Bocada, you are willing to pay 200K, and that's something that is going to be really hard for you to come back, because you can't go and say, oh yeah, Vladi can be available. Is he under contract? Yeah, I would like to buy out Vladi for 5K. Like you can't do that, anymore. Not your team. So I think that was like a really big shoot in the foot. Then as well, like, I don't know, like the getting Rooster, praising his Jace and then putting him on tanks the whole split. That was like on a fearless mode. That was also like weird, and I think that the trade Labrov Parus went completely south. I think that Parus is still very, very talented, but something was dysfunctional from the start on the team, and without being there, it's hard to know. And on KC, I mean, yeah, it's like it's I guess the team that got worse the most, I would say. Like, they still got top 4. I think that their players are like still incredible. Kalista is for sure a generational talent. Kana, as you said, the best top laner. I think Targamas, even though he's criticized a lot and he's criticized a lot, apparently he's like the mastermind behind the team and the guy that does kind of like the coaching macro aspect of the team. But yeah, I mean, whatever happened between Vladi and the rest of the team, that like parts of it are public, but like whenever it's only parts of it, you never really know what is true, what is not, is incredibly shady. And I just found it a bit ironic when all of this, I mean, first I found it like incredibly sad and depressing when the Apples thing came out, but then I found it ironic then on the last PGL that KC was in when they beat Vitality, after all of the thing that happened between like that week that we canceled them scrims, or they canceled the scrims and then we canceled them scrims, and then there was like all a bit of this drama that they went on PGL and said that behind the scenes we were doing shady things, which is just not true. And then like all of this comes out, and it's like,
we have an idiom in English. That's the pot calling the kettle black. That's the famous saying in English,
But it's sad because I agree with you, Peter. They have like so much potential. They had so many good pieces to build a long-lasting dynasty, and now it feels like a rebuild is in place. With maybe 2 players staying.
By the way, I'll pick up at the end there. Right, that actual idiom, if people don't know it, the pot calling the kettle black, it's because back in the day, a kettle would be a silver color, so it'd be reflective. So it's the idea that when the pot, which might be like black, sees the kettle, it goes, "Hey, you're black." It's like you're seeing yourself, you idiot. You're the one that's like that. So the joke is, if you're KC, you're talking shit about anyone else now. Shut the fuck up. In fact, you're on a 2-year time out. No social media for you. You don't get to trash talk anyone else after what's happening in your org. By the way, you all love to meme on everyone else at that post MSI video. Tell you what, we should all make some hilarious fucking memes about you guys. G2 should be cooking your squad, bro. They've never had a single hint of shit like that within their org. What are you talking about? And you didn't just think like we would have split. You thought you were the fucking new kings of Europe. By the way, that MSI post MSI video was aged so badly because you did it because you're an influencer org to play to your fans who were like a little bit toxic anyway. But you thought you were G2, and the problem now is your fans are the ones who'd have a fucking meltdown if someone said rest in peace after you got knocked out of a tournament where you really wanted to do well. So that's hilarious. And then I said this on the last episode. I actually did predict that if G2 won the split this time, they have the best narrative of the year because it's like the gradual improvement when you were already good anyway. It's the opposite for KC. You started out as strong as possible. In fact, everyone was going, they'll never fucking lose now. In spring, you like just you ignored that in the whole regular split of spring. You had nothing except insane team fighting in Canada, but that got you through all the games. You thought, it doesn't matter, it's all we need, lol. So yeah, MSI, oh shit, we're just watching on stream, okay, scrimming. And then in the summer split, you were such a joke that I'm going to go ahead and speculate. I think this was sabotage from within in many ways, because you're telling me when the team looks as bad as ever, with players like Yike getting fucking strays 24/7 because they can't play certain champions, Vladi's gone and shit, magically leaks come out of your org that it's one player, magically not a French player within the team. And that's like telling your fan base, Hey, if you got all those pitchforks, you're going to burn down the castle. Go to Vladi's castle, not ours, guys. Give me a fucking break. That's too convenient, mate. That's exactly what... And then also, the other thing about the Apples thing is the notion was just leaking shit to other teams and people. It's just leaking your actual information and scrim data. That is mental. That is such a fucking insane shooting yourself in the foot scenario, mate. That's like, if there should be an opposite one. Worst coaching fucking staff of the year. You win it. Well, enjoy, KC. You won a split and you managed to win that award. That's incredible. And also Mac and Patch going in the background somewhere. And Striker going, glad I'm not that famous. Anyway, that's a good joke there. Right, but so, go on. What are you going to say, Guilhoto?
I mean, this is starting to enter my ugly, right?
All right, fair enough then. Okay, we'll keep that all the time. Keep that all the time then. Right, the other thing as well is this. If you look at this year, you had... Even by the end of the year, Kalist and Canna, two of the absolute best players, not even at their positions, bro. They're probably like top 5 players in the whole league. You had 2 of them, and you didn't even get to the finals again. What the fuck is that? That is crazy. That is mismanagement and fuck-ups on a level that is insane. And then the whole Vladi situation is beyond ugly. That should have been your SkewMond, an obvious player to pick up who has the chance to develop more and be really fucking good. You've mismanaged it completely the whole way. And that whole Niski thing, I think, is one of the stupidliest handled things I've ever seen. Because the idea you ever made it public is fucking nuts that you were giving like scrim blocks to this guy. Because in my opinion, that's the one where you do one or the other. You either bring him in, but you don't really intend to ever play him. And he's just there to be like, hey, Vladi, if you don't play though, mate, we might have to bring him in. You either do that or you play him and you go, Vladi, your bench. That's it. You don't go, I'll go between 2, depending on how I feel each week. Like that's the best way ever to destroy someone like Vladi's mental, by the way, and leave him at the end. He's already getting hated by all the fans. That's the worst scenario you could ever lead into the most important playoff run of the whole year with. That's just ass. And it felt to me, like I say, like you were just throwing someone to the wolves so that the fans attack them instead of you.
But the tragedy for all of this is Vladi's a fucking rookie, man. Like, I mean,
essentially,
to me, it seems like the KC fans were the thing that triggered the KC fans the most is that he was worse than like Jojo Chin and Caps. Like, fucking hell, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, be reasonable, you know? Like, he was really, really good in Winter, and then like everyone gets carried away, and then Jojo like has a better series than him. Like back to back, and then gives an interview saying, oh, you know, Vladi's laning phase isn't that strong. And then like people are like, oh, we need somebody to scapegoat after spring because this is completely fucking unacceptable. And he's just a rookie. Just like work on his laning phase in the offseason. It doesn't matter, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing which really, really pisses me off, because people are like, oh, he's got bad mental. What do you expect from a rookie? You don't like, you know, it's just so crazy. Like, if this guy was a 6-year veteran, that would be one thing. I mean, it would still be fucked up, right? But it would be one thing. But for a rookie, like that's
why I say it's the leak that I hate the most, because he already wasn't playing as well. But in the LEC games, he was still good. He was still fine. You'd still take him. Yeah. But the leaks made it like, hey, behind the scenes, maybe he's not like fucking motivated. Maybe he's got like some sort of problems. Maybe fucking hell, you've just made it so that like he'd have to have the craziest mental ever to survive that, mate. In a fucking French team with all French fans, of course. Brilliant. Thanks everyone.
Yeah.
I throw one more thing since we finished. We're probably coming. We're probably not going to come back to KC. I will say Kalist did play really well in the series.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Like
I mean, overall during the whole year. Yeah. I think.
The problem is, without making a whole Guilhoto point, upset defender on duty here. You can't, even no matter how good you are as ADC, just carry the game completely on your own. You can't. The 2 players that carry the game can't be the top laner who's Korean and just the fucking ADC. You need like the rest of the game set up, then the ADC carries. Everyone sees Ruler carry the team fight. He doesn't just do it from minute 1 of the game, boys. He has to get to the point in the game where his jungler's ahead and his mid laner's got the CS and they've got all the objective control. That's when he carries the team fight, for fuck's sake. So no, by the way, I don't think Kalist. I think Kalist was the best part of this team aside from Canna. He was fucking awesome. What a great performance. I should say, also deserved if he wins Rookie of the Split. I thought, I agree. I think you could go either way on that one. There's no bad answer. Kalist or SkewMond, both great answers.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right, for my bad, I've picked one that could be quite wide, but I'm just going to make it quite simple. I just think that what you should always do if you have inside knowledge of the industry is you should judge people with expectations. You shouldn't just act like that every team should be number 1 and all their players should be all... No, that is a ridiculous standard when you don't know the resources, you don't know the player level, you don't even know what options people have in the off-season. So if I look at Vitality this year... I look at a coaching staff that was considered one of the best in the league and, asterisk, one of the best at working with rookies. They got in talented rookies. They had Nak, who actually turned out to be pretty good anyway. Then you had the Linchas guy, we've just all been promised for year, split after split after split, he's going to be the fucking basically what SkewMond is, but he just never came into that. Shayak one, maybe, I don't know, that one's maybe a bit more questionable, okay. And then your bot lane started the year as, those are two players that one day would be in the Hall of Fame, by the way. And in theory, if you ever get it right, those should be two all LEC quality players. If you start with all that and you play for Vitality, I don't think fans outside of League, inside League, understand who Vitality is. Vitality is like one of the biggest and best orgs in Western Counter-Strike and most other games they compete in. They have an expectation. It's why people don't get, that's the reason people really hate on perks, etc. Because they know how many millions were poured into that team year after year after year, and how many times they tried building super teams, and how many times they've attracted big talent. So if you're Vitality, this is like really embarrassing. This is some Man United level shit, how badly you've performed overall here. Like, it's not acceptable. It's not about like, oh, but you know, these you gambled on rookies where you could have taken bigger players. You gambled on these rosters where you thought, you just believed it would work. And it never ever actually came together. It wasn't even like they had one split where it was good. They had like the odd group stage game where they did well, and then they had playoff games where they also were like, oh, but we carried game one, or oh, we were close in game two. They never ever actually looked like making a finals run. They never looked like they were going to make worlds. And that should have been like the actual expectations for Vitality, in my opinion. So I'm going to say Vitality this year is my bad point. Guilhoto, what do you think?
When was the last time that Vitality was a good point in League? I don't know. Something is happening there. I don't know what it is, but they've tried rookies. They've tried veterans. Man, it looks cursed. I also don't know what Vitality would consider to be a successful year. My hope is that they don't fully restart over. I think Naknako is
when
a
they
good
did that
piece to build
interview
around.
where they said like Mac and Pad would essentially get fired if they didn't have results. I think that was signaling you had to at least make worlds or something. I took that as the implication, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think he specifically said top 4, if I'm not mistaken.
That could be right.
Right. So, I mean, to make it top 4, first I think you need to either build on top of Naknako, and then you have to wait for some people to be free agents, or to expect some really good rookies like Naknako to make it into your team while you are able to keep him. I think without luck, you can't really do it from one split to the other, or from one year to the other. And without good scouting, you can't either. And even after good scouting, you need sometimes a bit of time to develop those pieces. So I think they have some of those pieces now. So that's why, to me, I hope that they don't fully start over, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was another disappointment for Vitality. I think they missed playoffs one split as well, right?
Yep.
And on the two splits that they made to playoffs, they lost in first round one time, and one time, and then on the other one they beat Heretics, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's not. They did finish 2 out of 3 times below Heretics with Camilo and Carlson.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's like pretty disastrous. Yeah.
For my side, from the Vitality thing, I think that they do have luck. The luck is that KC have imploded and are almost certainly getting rid of Vladi.
Okay.
And if they sign Vladi, that team's fucking scary next year.
Sure.
But what I will say about Vitality is, let's say Heretics have let's say an org like SK or Heretics have the Vitality project, right? Let's separate this from being Vitality.
Yeah.
Right. You have 3 Linkers, 1 split, more than a rookie, but essentially 2 rookies in a 1.5 year. Yeah, exactly. 1.5 year player. You have a veteran AD carry, and Fleshy, who has been around forever but is not considered like a top player, right? Coming 5th or 6th in summer is actually not that bad for that roster, right? Like, I think that they saw improvement from Sayak. I think they saw improvement from Nak. I think Nak was always going to improve, but I think like you can give some credit for the Sayak improvement to coaching staff and to the org. But okay, so that's the good side. So I start with the good side first. Let's talk about the bad side, right? Bad side. I mean, I mentioned this when we were talking about SkewMond, but basically Linkers should have been SkewMond. Like that's in theory what his progression path would be, but the franchise piece is now going to be Nak. the franchise piece. To give you an idea of how highly Linkers was regarded 2 years ago, there was a thing where it said that if FlyQuest didn't sign Inspired, then FlyQuest would have signed Linkers, right? Like,
And KC wanted him as well before they got.
Yeah, and KC wanted him and wanted this.
Yeah.
But to me, the biggest failure on Vitality has been that they haven't been able to put a team around Linkers to have him develop. Because let's be clear, like, lots of people like Douglas, Douglas and Linkers are not like the same caliber of prospect, right? Like Douglas is fine. He will do his job, right? But he is not, he doesn't have the potential to develop along the trajectory somebody like Linkers has had. But now Linkers has been, in my opinion, mismanaged for 1.5 years to the point where people are saying he doesn't even belong in LEC anymore, right? And to me, that is the failure, right? And where does that come from? It comes from not being able to have a solid support system, right? Like, if your plan is to have Hylissang, maybe Linkers shouldn't have been the jungle you go with, right? Then not being able to stabilize your support situation because you're trying to win now instead of recognizing you have two franchises. Like, if they hadn't brought in Niski, like, let's say they bring in a rookie, and then they go, okay, we kind of scrap a little bit this year, and we don't completely give up on this year, but we acknowledge that our top side is the development piece, is the development project, and we really, really want to make these guys the best that they could possibly be in 2026, then I think it's understandable. I think that's kind of what they did in summer, but a bit too late. But to me, this is the fuck up for Vitality. I like the results. With a roster like this, they've made the decision to build a roster like this, right? They can't expect to immediately go to Worlds with a roster like this if this is the decision to be built. But it's a talent development roster. But you haven't built the talent development roster in a way that can develop talent.
But isn't Peter, one of the flaws here that there's too many rookies at once? Like, essentially the entire top side are rookies. Like, surely in this analogy, right, you want maybe a veteran solo laner who helps link chas, or you want the jungler to be the veteran, then the solo laners to be the rookies. Like, it feels like there's too many to go with at once. You need you need every gamble to work all at once if you're Vitality.
Sure.
And that's without even mentioning the Hylissang blow up and the Niski problems and,
But I mean, I think it's more that the veterans that they have, because they do have two veterans, like they had two veterans at the start of the year, right? But you need a specific type of veteran to play with Hylissang, and then bringing in Niski. Niski is not a vet. Like, he's a veteran, but Niski's support is not a veteran, right? Like, it's a guy who's even more of a rookie than any of your veterans, right? And to me, that is the thing that they deserve the most criticism for, right? Like, they just needed literally somebody stable to just not. So the coaching staff never needs to talk to this guy. Like that.
The joke is they needed Poby. They just needed Poby.
Sure. The Poby is support. Like, literally. And then we're going to spend all of our time talking to Knack and Link.
Exactly.
Linkers, and I think that's my question.
I mean, the thing is that, okay, so from rookies or not rookies, what I'm understanding is that for the profile that is Vitality as an org, they need to be close to where G2 is. And they were never, in their whole time in the league, they were never close to it or considered by it. The same way that, I think we was talked Counter-Strike, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that in Rocket League, they are also very good, or they were, or at least they achieved very good results there. So there are other parts of it, and they never reached it. And it's not about, at this point, it's not only about Mac and Pad. It's just there is something just not working there, and they will make changes again, and maybe this time they'll be it. But until it is, I agree with Thorin. It's just their org name. It's the same with Navi, by the way. If Navi comes here to be ninth place, it's going to be the exact same shit. Yes. It's they are a team that, from org name, needs to be fighting with G2 and above, especially with the amount of money that I think they make from CS.
Yeah.
It's the same expectation.
It's why I gave that example of how comparative expectations. You might look at this year and see Heretics have very similar results, right? Outside of Valorant, Heretics aren't a giant esports org. That's Nottingham Forest being in top 5 in the fucking Premier League. Holy shit, bro, you killed it. Great job. I'm amazed you even did it. You're not supposed to be there. Whereas this is if a Man United or a Chelsea is fucking 10th or something. You're shit in the bed, bro. You're supposed to be up there with the big dogs, and you presume presumably have the budget and the will to sign those players. So no, I agree. I think that's why that was the glaring one for me. There was plenty of other things that were bad, but I think the difference is things like Carmine Corp are more like, it's just the way it played out was bad. But there was decisions they make that were good earlier. Vitality, I don't know what good decisions they made this year, mate. Like, aside from signing Knack at the beginning of the year, that's about it. You know, that was a good decision, I guess. Okay, let us go to the aforementioned ugly section. And obviously this week of all weeks, fucking everything's ugly in it. So, Guilhoto, what's ugly right now?
I mean, to me, the ugly was like the amount of drama that happened this split. But like, I mean, obviously the Apples drama comes in, but like the Vladi drama, nuke, like Vladi with Niski and whatever happened in their drama things, plus the whole drama of like Striker saying that if they don't make it to Worlds, he will resign, and now
commit Harry Carey or whatever. Like, now he's been watching Shogun, I guess.
Yeah, now he's like fighting with DOS and on Twitter, you know, it's like I don't know what's
for context, like DOS basically criticized him, and then he leaked the DM, which seemed like a perfectly fine DM. It's just like DOS reaching out and being like, "Do you have any openings on the team?" And like he didn't say anything bad in the DM.
I mean, it's like I mean, I guess that like, even though I don't think Navi was shaded, like the realish Tiger is still in a way.
It's bad PR.
First time drama.
Yeah.
A lot of it, like, I don't know, there was just so much drama going around in like so many orgs and so many situations that at some point it felt like more than entertainment. It started to reach, I mean, I guess it's entertainment, but it's like Jersey Shore type of entertainment. Like this is just like some rotten stuff going around. So yeah, to me that's like ugly. I mean, I guess now I sent you before this came out. Like, I guess now even the Los Ratones coming into LEC thing. It's like, it's just that every single day something new is coming out, and like it's starting to be like a bit too ugly. To the Whipple drama, it's not like in our region, but like it's still like
it's
everything.
I mean, the tragedy though is that if there's if there's a little bit of drama, then then it's very, very easy to just say, oh, it's just one org, you know. But if you have like half your teams on fire,
it's the sector.
And if you're like keeping your head down, working hard, you get tainted by association, because it then stops becoming this is the org. It becomes like the industry, or like Europe is a clown show, right? And you can be on an org where it's not a clown show, but you're still going to get treated.
Actually, wait, there was also a drama that popped out on my TL yesterday that like I can't find the tweet anymore, but I saw a bunch of retweets, which was a guy saying that Hans Summer's girlfriend or Hans Summer himself cheated on the like
fucking hell.
Before, like I don't know, I can't find the tweet anymore, but like I saw a bunch of retweets, which was like a tier list. Basically, it was like a tier list of how Chinese are teams, kind of like this. And then it was a guy responding, no, Hans is not half Chinese, he's half Vietnamese. And then the reason why something is because the girlfriend said this, and then some cheating happened.
That is Jersey Shore. Yeah, you're right. That is Jersey Shore.
Like, what is this? What is going on?
The fuck is that? Go then, Peter.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've really reached real sports now, you know? This is like the tabloid stuff, you know? Fucking hell. I to be honest, this is the first time I'm hearing it. Like, I only see the stuff that's really, really massive, and normally like 2 weeks too late.
Wait, I'll send it here. I found it. I remember someone that retweeted it.
Holy moly.
Oh, wait, no, it was not cheating on Hassam. It was on Levi.
Okay, sure. But the point about all of this is that it kind of taints the people that you're just here minding your own business. Like people are throwing shit everywhere. And you just have to stand as still as you possibly can, not to get hit by any of it. But you still get the splash.
It's like you say, Hans Sama, by the way, just plays ADC, mate. He doesn't even do comments, and then he's just like, "Why am I getting drawn into this? I'm just sat here playing League. What?"
Yeah.
True.
I mean, like it's just like somebody trying to drag Hans. It's not Hans is not doing anything bad here. It's just like somebody trying to drag him into some drama, right? It's just I agree with you. Like I mean it's been really, really rough, and like the whole self-sabotaging thing. Obviously, I didn't talk about Vitality because I had them number 4 on the self-sabotage tier list. But like, how many orgs in the LEC self-sabotaged themselves this year? Loads. We didn't even talk about SK, right? That's 5. That's at least 5.
Yep.
Because we had the 3 I talked about. Yeah, so that's at least 5. I mean, I think Heretics Camelou is more like you flipped on something. Yeah, but let's say at least half of your league shot themselves in the foot this year.
Yes.
Right? Maybe even more than half, right? And that's a pretty rough look going into internationals. But I'll say G2 look good, so all it will take is G2 making top 4 or top 8 at once, and everyone will be like, "Oh, this was a great LEC split," like maybe finals the first stand,
Yeah.
And it will all be forgotten.
Yeah.
So G2, bail us out again, please.
No, I agree. The worst thing is how many orgs it was. It wasn't even just like one. Like, I'll run through it as you were doing a little one there. So KC had the Apples thing at the end. They had the Vladi thing along the other way. Then they had the whole thing of then, because of that, then Vladi made those comments on stream, which, by the way, you almost couldn't craft a better anti-PR statement than a player in Carmine Corp who isn't French saying directly in English on his stream in text, like, essentially, I have the worst fan base. Like, holy fucking shit. You have just sent it so high. You'd have to actually be Killis times 10 to be that good, mate. And he's French, so he has the fucking get out of jail free pass. Then you had BDS, who their whole org identity is, we're really shrewd with our signings. Let's just massively overplay for Bukada as a Hail Mary that doesn't even work, and then have Striker, probably in theory one of the parts you're supposed to think is one of the best parts of BDS, basically go like, hey, I'm going to gamble that if I don't make it, don't even fucking sign me. Get, oh, I've shit the bed. Like, that's fucking a joke already. Then you've got the whole thing that SK just decided, like, yeah, well, we don't fucking do anything in League anyway, so just have one of our best players. Lol, the last split's on us, boys. Lol, what is that? No fan cheers for the money in your bank account, dickhead. We want to watch players playing the fucking server. Then you've got the whole thing with, people forget this, it's kind of drama to me that one of the highest paid, biggest contract players in the league, Humanoid, just goes, nah, I'm not really feeling summer split. Oh, was our whole team this year about being contenders and trying to go to, you know what? I know Fnatic makes worlds every year, but I'll see you on Twitch if you make it there. That's fucking that's just, that became a small drama because of how the shit show these other ones. And we had to bring in literally one of the most notorious players ever, Poby, who's only famous for failing to be faker and making T1 look shit. And then the same squad, when they kicked him, won worlds that year. Then lastly, even the Na'Vi one. I agree, it's bad optics regardless of the contract, that it feels like you conned this guy and he came in and thought he was playing for a spot, but behind the scenes you've already signed someone anyway, so it's like, good luck, kid, welcome to the fucking business. But even worse, you used to be Rogue. If it was Rogue, no one would give a shit. Everyone was out on Rogue. That wasn't even a real team. The fact that it's Na'Vi gave people this fake hope, like maybe they can do so, and then they did nothing. So I agree, at the end of the whole year, basically, if you are the following teams, Heretic, Movistar Koi, GX, and G2, congrats, you just played League of Legends and tried to get your results. The rest, everyone else was in fucking high school, mate. This is crazy. I agree. Here's what sucks, guys. Do you want to know the ultimate statement on this to put this topic to bed? It now, LTA, LCS doesn't even have the fucking drama. Even we're beating them in that area, boys. They used to have all the drama. They had all the shit with the girlfriends and the sobs and the bad signings and the all. Now we're even doing that better. Come on, LTA, step your fucking game up, will you? Step it up, will you?
I mean, it was way too much. Way too much, this split.
Now, here's the thing, Peter. As you alluded to, you know, breaking news. What is your ugly point? What's ugly right now in LEC? What's kind of ugly right now, Peter?
I mean, like, I want, like I said, I wanted to do my awards show, but like, there's nothing that comes close to this, right? Which is the entire situation around next year and what's going to happen in Spring Split next year. And for people that aren't caught up, basically, Riot did an announcement where they said that Los Ratones and the winner of LEC Summer is going to compete for a place at first stand, and Caedrel went on stream and basically said, "Oh, I think all the org owners agree to this." And then Guilhoto basically, like you said, none of the org owners agreed to this. We have a franchise agreement. Like nobody agreed, and this is just something that's been put over the top of our head, and this creates a lot of difficulties in the future. So, first thing I'm going to say from all of this, so my point is ugly. Not just for format, but ugly for what this means for franchising in Europe in the future and what it means for what we've seen over the past couple of years, right? And the first thing I'm going to say for this is, the first thing for the announcement is the fact that they even mentioned Los Ratones in that announcement, really, they're saying the quiet part out loud. All they had to do is say, winner of EU Masters Summer, and like the best performing ERL team over the course of the year.
And let people put 2 and 2 together themselves, yes.
Yeah, put 2 and 2 together. Try to make it sound like this is just purely about performance, but no, they have to mention the team by name. They have to make it Los Ratones like front and center of everything. And I mean, the fact that what this means, it's basically a spit in the face for orgs like, to a lesser extent, Navi, but to orgs like KC and Heretics.
Yep.
I mean, basically, KC had to like sacrifice a lot to be like KC were in this position 2 or 3 years ago, right? With massive fan base, they were basically told this is not acceptable. You must buy in no matter what, and you must sacrifice some of your org in order to be able to get in. Koi went through the same thing, right? They were basically like, Ibai has been very, very vocal about this, like how he basically had to sell, like, give up like a ton of.
You have to raise VC, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
equity.
exactly.
Yeah.
Equity, like he had to give up like things in Koi. And all of these people were in similar situations, very, very popular ERL teams or very popular teams around creators, and they were told basically, fuck off. You have to like the franchising agreement is gospel, and now it looks like. Not everything has come out, but it looks like basically a special agreement has been made in order to allow Los Ratones basically to be able to play in
the first
LEC.
split.
Yeah, in the first split, and then some other token team that happens to win the U Masters. But what happens if KCB wins the U Masters or Los Heretics wins the U Masters or like one of the other academy teams, right? So my ugly point is, in theory, this is not a bad thing, right? Like I've said on a show last week, really ironically, have an NLB format for Worlds, let the third spot, go open, and I think that would be a banger tournament and really, really fun to watch. But you've signed a franchise agreement with these orgs. They basically not agreed, and you still forgot and forced it through anyway. Especially given what's happened with Koi and KC, like that's a really, really bad look for LEC. And the worst thing for all of this is, I'm just going to keep saying from KC because KC are like the closest parallel with Los Ratones, like the closest trajectory. You've now like undermined the value of KC's spot as well.
Yes.
Right? Like so not only did they have to like take loans and things like this, like their asset, which should be this spot, has now basically been reduced in value, right? As a direct result, right? So to me, it's like really, really ugly in the sense that, what kind of an agreement do you have with your orgs in the region, and what kind of say matters? So for me, this entire situation is really, really very, very ugly, and by far the cherry on the top of what has been a very, very ugly year. On the admin side, formats and things like that.
Sure.
I mean, let's see what the answers will be, but like I think it's very clear for everyone that if, for example, Barcelona would have won both splits, that like this would not be done, right? So it's like, I think that at this point there is no one delusional enough to think that this is not being a thing considered just because it's Los Ratones instead of being because of sports success and they want to promote TRLs and stuff like this. I think at this point everyone already acknowledged that, but there's like a ton of questions to answer. Like the split will still, or the tournament will still be in Berlin. So is Riot going to cover all the expenses of teams flying back and forward? Is Riot going to cover the expenses of teams to stay there? Because like the EU Master Finals is in November. Which is like another thing that is like something else, but it's in November, and like the team that wins will play in LEC, and they don't have time to build a structure in LEC. So if Riot is covering all of that and they have to fly, like what is going to happen to their regular splits? Do they play the regular splits of their national league as well, or they don't? Do they have to play 4 or 5 official games a week? While flying back and forward? If not, if Riot is not covering that, can the teams deny to participate because they don't want to spend a lot of money on doing that, or not? Then it comes to the point of unfairness to everyone. Like, is that spot is from the org, is not from the players. So the org is going to be in a massive advantage to signing players, because those players are already secured to play in LEC with ERL contracts. So basically, they can be completely underpaid. And then it comes the legal aspect. These players will be playing in Germany. They'll be like competing in Germany and spending a lot of time in Germany. Do they have to abide by German law, which means that they have to receive the minimum wage from LEC standards? Is that going to be a thing, or can they be, or can there be players playing in LEC or in that tournament or whatever it is, getting paid much less than what the minimum allows? And if there can be, why are the rest of the teams being forced to respect a minimum salary? Like all of these things, like there is zero answers to all of these questions. And even though, as a competitor, I really could not care less if Los Ratones and whoever it is comes, because at the end of the day, it's a competition. And as I said, even during the format of Summer, like I don't care the format, even if it's the best of one, we have to go and win. And this is kind of like our job. And personally, I don't think that there's going to be a big shift in competition and all of these scenarios of like a team of ERL qualifying to an international. I think it's very far from something that is like possible of happening. I mean, it's possible, right? But it's like very unlikely. But like the logistics and the ways that it was done and the implication that it has from the business side is like not calculable. For a bit of viewership, and then let's see what happens after. Do they do it like Fearless? Like, let's say that it's a success, and the success to me is like they win one game. Both of these teams win one game. Does Riot then make them both be the rest of the year, and they change the whole format again? Like, I don't know. It's the ways that it was done and the uncertainty. It makes it very ugly.
By the way, I actually also agree with it being defined as ugly, not bad, because I agree, Peter. If you want to go only on like the competition aspect, you can certainly add Los Ratones is a team people want to watch now. They're even hyped by this hypothetical of what if they played the LEC. That's been the whole drama the whole year long. You can even add in, yes, they have played some of the most popular players ever. If people don't know, last year when Reckless was a sub for T1 and played in the Challenger League, he was the second most searched player on like Leaguepedia or whatever, under Faker and above like the other T1 players. He didn't play in the fucking major league. That is a player you want in your league. You want him to play Mickey X and Alvaro and all that. You want all that. He's the most decorated player, the most long tenured player in the history of the LEC. He was the face of the, all these things are great. I even agree with Peter. If you'd made this a real pre-season tournament that wasn't like the top teams G2, it was just like, Vitality, Heretics, BDSG, and then you guys play at a homestand arranged by KC or Heretics or fucking MCOY. If you do it as business and we're doing it as a separate exhibition thing, this could be a great idea. This could be really cool. But I agree on the last point. What is not acceptable is this. I bought in for 10 million euros. Then, because there's no more slots left, even though KC's a way better candidate than Los Ratones, they had to buy someone else's slot for the 30 mil or whatever the fuck it was. If I've bought in like that, then you just let in a team because they're popular in a shitty RL, and if they actually somehow hit a miracle, they win the LEC and then go and represent Europe at international. Are you out of your motherfucking mind? You've devalued the slots, the fucking league, you've devalued an international tournament, by the way. Imagine, by the way, how much you would get dunked on if a European representative was like Giga Rookie Velia and he just shit the bed at the international, got smashed by like Canyon and fucking Canavi or something. That would be so ridiculous for the league. It would just make no sense. It would, like, for the thrill of the novelty, you would give up everything that the business and the structure enforced before. And as I just said there, like, the other thing I hate is what you said is, like, they didn't even hide it, bro. This is why leaking it through Sheep Esports meant you were going to get this aspect. They weren't just going to phrase it. If you'd have done this as Riot, you'd have never said the word Los Ratones. That wouldn't be mentioned. You'd have said, we will have the winners of the last AMEA, and then we'd have the best performing team, which is essentially us reverse engineering no matter what Los Ratones is there. Because since the finals haven't happened yet, we wouldn't want them to fuck up and not win it. So we'll just make it whoever's won all the splits. Oh, is that them? Oh, well, gee, I guess they're just in. I agree, Guilhoto. If it had been a world where, like, they'd already won the last split of EMEA, it would only be one team from EMEA going in. The other team wouldn't get to go. Barca, whoever the fuck you're going to be, you KCB, yes. You wouldn't get to go, mate. It would only be Los Ratones. This entire mission was, like, let's get Los Ratones into the LEC somehow, some way, no matter what these owners think. And that KC point is a very clear one. People keep saying, yeah, but no one made BDS and KC buy in for these massive slots. That's the entire fucking selling point of a franchise league. It's not that it makes money today. It's that when I buy a slot for 10 million to begin with, then if I'm Astralis, I don't even have to be good. I can sell for 30 million. It made sense to do it. You're not actually doing it. Like, you could actually argue that I would make a stronger argument, if you think this is fine, that KC should have been given an expansion slot for 10 million and allowed to buy in at the normal price of everyone else, because they were bringing guaranteed fan base people. They were a team you knew would spend big, etc., all that jazz. They were the most obvious team to bring into the league. They already were selling out stadiums to announce fucking players and have exhibition tournaments. We can't even get that if some of the teams had a homestand. That's why some of them don't get a homestand, and the ones that don't are massive orgs and they're very noticeable. Let's just put it that way. Then also, Cadril, by the way, is motherfucking delusional, or playing a character on TV. If he thought all the LEC teams agreed to that, you are out of your motherfucking mind and you know nothing about the business. And I'll throw this out there too. If Cadril's org is so sick and they're so awesome with viewership and they're so awesome with, like, what they bring to the league, then why can't he pay his players mega bucks? They are mega underpaid players by that logic. Why isn't he got the money from all this amazing viewership and sponsors to just buy his own slot? Because he doesn't have anywhere close to that. If you are a fan, please stop thinking even 100k viewers more makes everyone millions. It doesn't. That has never been the way it worked. This isn't fucking football, for fuck's sake. Like, those numbers don't make sense. Think about it. The 100,000 people are paying nothing. They're just eyeballs watching. Then you have to hope LEC sells sponsors and you sell more sponsors. 100k views, by the way, isn't worth a lot of money. It's worth thousands of dollars, not millions of dollars. This isn't 5-7 years ago. You're not selling people on that idea anymore. So it already is delusional. And then, as I say, the other part as well I was going to say was, even the way this was leaked, essentially the story wasn't, wow, should we make should we increase viewership on LEC? Should we have a one-off tournament that brings in NLB style and EMEA? No. The entire thing was like, basically, this is why I think someone like Riot or some fucking, or Los Ratones themselves leaked this, mate. Because the whole thing was basically going out to a mob and just going, do y'all want Los Ratones? And they're all like, yeah! And then it's like, this isn't fucking a league, mate. This is supposed to be a business. It's not the fucking lunatics run the asylum. The fan who pays nothing doesn't get a vote. This isn't a democracy. It's literally a cartel, you idiots. And the whole point of a franchise league, by the way, is I'm a corner. We all have to agree who gets in the door. It's why in the past, by the way, you could actually argue that the owners could have got together if they didn't like the way a certain org ran their business and said, we don't want them to come with us. It doesn't matter if they're good. It doesn't matter if they had good viewership. So I think the whole thing's crazy, bro. I think this is actually one of the ugliest. I know it came at the very end, but what if you've almost blown up the credibility of the league?
And I mean, for me, it's like for some like fanfic, Howard
I
lost.
know.
It's almost like
Yeah.
you have like some fanfic writer
Yep.
like deciding that this is
I
what
mean-
they. Yeah. Go.
And let's see what format they make, because if they actually make it a tournament format, right? Because this is what, to be fair, this is what would be fair. Is like, if they want to make this a tournament, what they do is they make seedings where Los Ratones is playing first round Koi or G2. And the other ERL team is playing Koi or G2. And then if they lose, bye-bye. And then they did it for a best of one. I mean, actually, I don't know. I don't know what format they're going to make. It's not going to be a tournament.
No.
I mean, just the other thing on this as well is there's other ways you could have done this, right? First of all, messaging, complete garbage. Secondly, let's say that you wanted to integrate the ERLs, right? Let's say that you really want to do this. There's a very simple way to do this. Just add an extra slot, right? Okay, so the original plan was to have them compete for the world slot.
Remember,
okay.
LTA had this, Peter. They had a guest slot.
Yeah. Exactly. But,
to let 100 Thieves in, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but you can do it. Like, let's say you had a world where you 1,000,000% won Los Ratones. Like they have like, I don't know, blackmail material on you or something like this, right? And you need to get them in the league no matter what you need to do. You have 3 teams competing for worlds, and then you just say, okay, we want to integrate the ERLs more. We have a 4th slot. We have a 4th slot. Nobody's losing anything. You, in fact, as an LEC org, get the option to get an extra chance to go to Worlds just by beating all these ERL teams. Then everything is easy.
Yeah.
There's no fight. There's no like drama on things like this. It's just that they have things which are existing, which are part of the franchise agreement, which you're now taking away. Yes. And sure, like, there's no, like, I think the chance Los Ratones, or let's say Geeke, right? I just pick a random, or Galleons, right? Joy, like, none of those teams are gonna win, right? But even if you reduce the chance of a team by 5%, that's still a problem, right? You without trialing it, you need to create something new. And then it becomes an opportunity. Or it's not even about creating something new, making an opportunity. It's about it's not about creating something new. It's that you're taking away things from that already exist. And I think this is a lot of what the issue is. And as Guilhoto said, a lot of the admin, we don't even know how it works. What happens if the top 4 teams at EU Masters are all academy teams? There's 4 academy teams at EU Masters, right?
Now, do you force them to sell? How does that work? The whole thing gets worse the more you look at it. Also, I'll just throw this out there because I saw this mentioned by a lot of people. People were trying to cope by going, yeah, but Los Ratones wouldn't get any of the revenue. I'll take that deal all day long. I don't have to pay 30 million and I don't get like a tiny bit of revenue. Shut the fuck up, you idiot. The dream is to not have to pay the fee and to get all the sponsors. By the way, if I'm the other orgs, I'm like, can I have that deal? Can I have the money back? Because there's another thing. You do know, like LTA, you could do this. You could agree to pay people to leave the league if they don't want to do it and they want to have other teams. But I tell you what, Riot is not going to get out a big checkbook and start paying out 10 millions all over the place, mate. That's the last thing they're going to do. So I also think this looks so cynical on the Riot end. I go primarily from the Riot end. This just looks like you just disrespected all your business partners, bro. Right, my last point, we'll make it quick, because I think this is not a massive one, is this was the split where actually there wasn't hype for Fnatic going into the playoffs. This was the one where people even thought they could lose in the lower bracket and just get banged out way earlier than Worlds. I actually think they made it 3rd anyway, which is still Worlds. It's more than that. If you watch the game that they played, bro, there's actually a world where they could have made like some miracle run to the final. They could have beaten MCOI both times potentially, especially the second one, the lower bracket one. There was games there where it looked like they were going to win early on. They were in position to win. They were getting the advantage. Like, amazingly, even though they had no expectations, I actually think if you watched how it played, that's why I put it as ugly, because I didn't come in thinking, I thought they'd come forward. I thought they'd even lose to KC for fuck's sake. But actually, when I look at it now, there's a world they could have gone further potentially. And also, I'll add in as well, ugly, we referenced it earlier, Oscarinin came off his life series, the series where he owned Canada, like, by the way, like a top 3 LEC player this year. And then he went into the next series like, let's talk some shit. And they got banged out by his fellow countrymen completely in front of his home crowd. It looks like that's how he ends the fucking LEC. Like, give me a break. What do you think, Guilhoto?
I mean, I think so. I think it's like, I guess the ugly part that you're referring is that Fnatic is losing their mystic, I guess, like their But and I think that's very true, and I think next year is going to be even more. If what I'm hearing is set to be true, but it's part of it. Like I think that new orgs came in that have more sustainability than Fnatic has, and at the end of the day, a lot of it is run by money, and it's either run by money or run by you are seen as a winning org, and it's been a while since Fnatic is seen that way. So yeah, I honestly think that I agree. They are losing a bit their mystic, and in a way, it's like it's ugly because that's the bad part, but it's also a good part where, well, it was one of the first times that Fnatic pleasantly surprised people by their level, right? That they're like expect the expectation, or that they overpassed the expectations. But yeah, I feel the same. I didn't see Fnatic as, even though we lost to them, it wasn't coming like, wow, we are playing against Fnatic. It's going to be a high mountain to climb.
You know the joke I made about LTA, like we even do drama better than you now.
Yeah.
If you're Fnatic, bro, even KC does drama better than you now. Your fans don't even care that you don't have a chance and that you just made Poby sound. They're just like, well, whatever, I'm just beaten down at this point in time. Yeah, go ahead, I guess, like, fuck it. You used to have the craziest fans of all time. You had the T1, the TSM and T1 fans of Europe who used to go mental over every result. You want that in a way, it means they care. It means they want to watch the league.
I mean, you guys are right. The only thing that I add to this, I think obviously Guilhoto and Thorin, both everything you said is correct. The only thing I will say though is I'm not sure Fnatic are equipped to win from the bottom, if that makes sense, right? Like,
okay.
You can either be an org that you attract people with your history and that kind of thing, but there's another way you can win, which is developing talent and then finding a franchise player in academy and then developing and having a long-term plan. And I'm not sure Fnatic are able to play in that way. Are able to even.
Well, praise to Peter. In the past, the logic went: whoever doesn't go to G2, Fnatic can take them. That was an automatic advantage. You had a crazy heritage that doesn't exist now. Like you'd go to KC now, you'd go to fucking MCOY. These teams have the same status, if not more, right?
Yep, and you can't even find a hidden gem and store them in your academy team and take a like, for instance, Heretics doing it with Trayson, right? Like you can't even do that with Fnatic anymore. So it remains to be seen. This year they've overperformed. They've surprised their fans, but I'm concerned about the long term thing for Fnatic, because I think Fnatic need to be the org that can either attract whoever they want or get the guy that G2 doesn't get. And like you said, I don't think that they have that, and I don't think they can develop that guy either within their structure. So I think it's a problem long term.
I agree.